This is our new CA final audit material, which covers 100% syllabus, 100% concepts, 100% subtopics that are there in the institute study material. Like, some of you might be having doubts, like how this is different from the institute study material. When you ask me, if at all any one of you ask me, sir, can I go with your material or ICS study material? Undoubtedly, I will tell ICS study material, because that is ultimatum, that is supreme. That is, if you read from ICS study material, the success rate is extremely high. But those who feel reading from ICS study material is bit lengthy, bit tough. Actually, it is not. They have simplified a lot. ICS study materials were simplified. You have not seen once upon a time ICS study materials, how it used to be. So that time they were huge, lengthy, so many irrelevant points were there, no formatting at all, just like a black and white. You feel like a reading newspaper. So that time, this revolution started, like what, ICA materials are bulky, not at all readable, not at all student friendly. But now it is not. Now the ICS study materials are very student friendly, colored, nice formatting has been done, all that. But still, that formatting, many students feel insufficient. So that's why we have developed our own material with the colors, all that. So I'll just show you for a moment how this material can be read. Like, you will find fundamentals of auditing, like one chapter which is unique with our classes, with our material, is one topic will be there in my CA inter as well as final, which is a common chapter, that is fundamentals of auditing, where we discuss about certain basic fundamental financial terms to understand audit better. So you can see here we have used only two colors to highlight most of the sentences. Side headings were used with the green color, and sentences, key points were used. We used two colors to highlight key points. Like let me talk more about this material content coverage, especially on content coverage. Like, as I already told many a times, don't prefer short materials just because a chart book is much quicker, to finish it, or a small, like some materials where they use a simplest language, where the native terminology will be completely ignored and use a very simplest language. But if you read from such a kind of material, what happens is you cannot understand the question itself from the MCQs. Especially, you can't understand the descriptive questions, especially if the question is of 3-4 lines. Nowadays, almost in the May 24 attempt, or even number 23 or May 23, almost in the past 6-7 attempts, the questions were lengthy. Descriptive questions are not like a 2-line questions. They are giving a lengthy questions where the native terminology of ICA material is being used. So if you want to get that adaptability, if you want to understand that, you need to read at the same level. There are two approaches which any teacher might follow. Any of these two approach. One, go to the student level and stay there itself and educate him. Or bring student to our level and educate them. I follow the second one. Getting it? It's not at all difficult for me to bring student to my level of understanding the subject. It's not at all difficult. It's just about articulation, the way we proceed, the way we articulate, the way we explain, the order in which we explain. That is what decides the connection between us and students. Like, I'll just show you like how to read this material. Many students are having some queries. How to read this material? Sir, you're using two colors, right? What is the difference? Like, what is these two colors? Significance, please. This is what many are asking. Typically speaking, like, I'll just show you, I'll just read. The auditor shall form an opinion on whether the financial statements are prepared in all material respects in accordance with applicable financial reporting framework. Nothing but whenever a color changes, you need to give a pause. The colors essentially are nothing but pauses. The auditor shall form an opinion on whether the financial statements are prepared in all material respects in accordance with applicable financial reporting framework. To give pauses. Whenever a color changes, you need to give a pause. Like, again, pauses are two types: long pause, short pause. Getting it? Like, the auditor shall form an opinion on whether the financial statements are prepared. You see, between opinion and on, I gave a long pause, whereas between on and whether, I gave a short pause. Able to understand, able to figure out. So the way you read, the pattern in which you read, the way you read, that determines your understanding ability, that determines your remembrance ability. Reading skill is one of the fundamental skill that everybody should have. No, so like many students are having this, inferior, like they're not super skilled in terms of reading, like they're not super readers. So that's why what I did, I just gave multiple colors, I just gave two colors. So whenever a color changes, you just have to pause. Now why you have used two different colors, sir? Just to make it appealing much more better. So to make it appeal much more better, so throughout the material we have used only two colors. If you see, only for headings one specific color we have used, and for all other inside content we have used two colors. Like you see, 100% of the ICS study material content to be covered, we are not skipping anything. Getting in the classroom also we discuss 100% of this content, like deleting all these points and making getting marks from you that my material is shortest material, simplest material is very easy. But at the end of the exam, if at all the paper is bit awkward, bit tough, bit extreme, you will blast me like anything after the exam. I don't want to hear that blast. I don't want to, I don't want any student to blast me that I have not covered something. Let me give 100% whatever genuinely required, looking at past 7 8 attempts exams. It is student choice whether he will study or not from my material. That's his choice. I always believe material selling is not my objective. Generally when I discuss with some other faculties also, they feel like your material should be there at every student so that your popularity will increase. I don't believe in that. Getting it? If material is sold, if materials are there just because with everybody, I don't think that determines exactly popularity. Whose class ultimately on the YouTube people are watching, that determines popularity. And I'm very confident to say that many students out of 100 in South India, especially 70 students watch my audit class. I'm very confident. It's purely because not of my material, it's purely because the way I discuss the concepts. Getting it? Now adding to it, I right now made a very much interactive material. This is something similar to my earlier smart notes, but made it little more appealing, made it little more like looking very good. This font we used is Cosmic Sans. This is a very famous font. Cosmic Sans is a very famous font. Getting it? So Cosmic Sans font is being used. Now all our materials in CA Final and CA Inter, we are going to upgrade as per this pattern. So that's it. So this is my smart notes, which is also called as concept book. This is completely 579 number of pages exactly speaking, but content wise it is 550 pages only. Content is only in 550 pages. Then along with this, immediately after you read a particular chapter, immediately in that chapter you have to solve illustrations from study material. You see, this is a question bank. Actually what I'm showing you here is a question bank. So solve all the illustrations from ICS study material, previous year questions and MTPs, RTPs. Getting it? And that too, you see, all these were given standard wise. Previous year questions, MTP, RTP, we have given each and every standard wise. So once you read a particular standard, open concerned questions in the past exam, how they were being asked. So if you read these questions with the material, like I notice some students reading only question banks, you will never get the clarity. You read 10 questions. What if 11th question comes in exam, which is not there in this question, which is not covered in these previous year attempts, but it was there as part of the standard. Question was asked differently. So don't depend on question banks. This is what happening in the past 5-6 attempts. They are not giving straight questions picking from the question banks. Of course, 20-30 marks can be there, but most of the questions are not like they're designing it now. Getting it? So question bank reading is important to know how whatever the concept you studied is being tested. Now, a day after tomorrow, 17th July onwards, I'm starting a face-to-face class at Chennai. The same is being recorded and sold it as a Google Drive. So where I immediately after discussing a particular chapter, a particular topic, I immediately solve the question bank in the class itself, in the classroom itself. I think 100% of the question bank we are covering in the classroom itself. So you can see here for ethics, illustrations from study material, test your knowledge from study material, previous year questions. So for all the topics, we have given index also very detailed so that you need not figure out tomorrow when you're reading some particular question, some standard, immediately you want to see that standard related questions. You simply open, you can come and open this page number, read only that standard related questions. Sometimes under 250, they also integrate with 705, they also integrate with 570 and ask. So sometimes multiple standards will be covered. Of course, all those models are appropriately covered. And latest May 2024 RTP series 1 series 2, they were not as part of the question bank directly, they were not as part of the respective chapters, we have given them separately, just because the latest one, right? So let us read it separately, we have to give little more importance, so that's why I just kept them separately, isolated. Then coming to the another one, that is MCQ booklet. You see here is the MCQ, we have covered 400 plus MCQs. How? It's not about how many MCQs you practice. If you read from a right material, understand contextually, like you have to understand every point context based. Under which context, what are its implications? If you're able to understand that, MCQs you can answer very easily. It's a byproduct. MCQs is not about how many you practice. It's all about how strong you are in these concepts, how strong you are in understanding these points, how strong your conceptual understanding, contextual understanding. That decides your MCQ success. So it's not how many MCQs you focus on, but still, since to give an idea to a student how MCQs will be asked in exams, case-based MCQs, independent case MCQs, we have compiled all the MCQs that are relevant for you. I have taken old scheme related MCQs also, but the chapters are still relevant in new scheme, but they were in old scheme. So that time we have an exclusive MCQ booklet also, a new scheme MCQ book, and all the RTPs only relevant under new scheme syllabus. Those MCQs were retained. Independent MCQs, approximately some 100 independent MCQs were there. So as a whole, whether it is a case-based MCQ or independent MCQ, whatever it is, minimum 400 MCQs are covered in this MCQ material. So these are the three materials now onwards which I am going to give for my course student. These three materials you can place order on Shrestha for CSEMA website. Shrestha.csema.com, there is a website. Maybe from July 17th or 18th you can place order. Until then you will not find this particular material reference. Getting it? PDFs are available. You can open Shrestha for CSEMA, PDF resources. So you open PDF resources. Below you see new scheme edition 2025. Now one doubt which many students are having is, sir, since 25 you mentioned, is it applicable for November 24? Absolutely. Audit, man, this is CA final audit, no changes at all for another 3 years. I'm telling you, 2024, 2025, 2026, for all these 3 years, whatever material that you are following already, that can be retained. Now for one final question, sir, should I buy this material so that I can prepare well? I sincerely tell not required. I'm going to do a marathon based on this new material once again for November attempt. If you feel this is very comfortable to you, then buy. If at all you're already having satisfaction with an existing material which of some faculty that you're following, stick with it. Unless that material is ignoring so many concepts. Suppose if at all you're following any existing faculty material whose material is less than 400 pages or 350 pages, I right away tell you, you have to change the material, because that is one of the reasons why you are failing, because you're not covering 100%. It's impossible to compress the material to less than 500 pages. My material is almost 550 pages after so much of compression. In fact, I skipped, I can say 20 to 30 pages content from ICS study material, which is absolutely not relevant. Absolutely not relevant. Such a kind of content I skipped. Getting it? And I removed so many spaces. I tried to make it at where, I tried to make everything at, I gathered at one place. Getting it? So removed unnecessary little matters. In spite of it, I'm unable to reduce lesser than this. Getting it? Now, one more question. My existing students of Google previous attempt or previous edition students, sir, how is that different from that material, this material? How is your Smart Notes previous version A5 book is different from this? By the way, this book is going to be A4 size. This book is going to be A4 size, like normal standard ICA book will be done A4 size, that size only, A4 size. This book will be A4 size. How this is different from my previous small notebook? Like in the previous small notebook, there were some changes, there were some some topics which I have added extra. So except that too in audit report chapter. So except that, there are no drastic changes. If at all you're already having my old Smart Notes, if you think it is sufficient according to you, and honestly speaking, it is very much sufficient for exam point of view. No need to upgrade to this material. Getting it? That's it. I just want to give all this information. So go through this material, decide accordingly and go further. All the very best.